NASCAR paint schemes are not just expressive forms of art, but they are also a symbol of a driver's greatest moments. Jeff Gordon has a multitude of these paint schemes, whether it's the Rainbow Warrior car that won 3 championships, the Red and Blue Flames paint scheme that won 1 championship and dominated several crown jewel races. There's also a multitude of lesser successful paint schemes that still had tremendous results, like Firestorm, Brilliant Flames, the various AARP Drive to End Hunger primaries, and of course, all of those Pepsi paint schemes that absolutely murdered Coke on the racetrack. Rarely is a Jeff Gordon paint scheme known to be cursed, although there is one massive exception. This is the story of Jeff Gordon's 2015 3M paint scheme and how, through bad luck and poor performances on the racetrack, this paint scheme is cursed. So in Jeff Gordon's career, it was more about quality versus quantity when it came to sponsorships. Although this would change in 2015 when AARP Drive to End Hunger reduced their sponsorship from 20 plus races to just 13. As for 3M, around this time they were questioning their NASCAR program and whether they should continue sticking with the Biff. Considering Roush's declining performance and NASCAR losing fans, 3M needed star power if they wanted to remain relevant. In a multitude of ways, 3M joining Jeff Gordon for 11 races was the perfect storm. For Hendrick Motorsports, they got a well-known sponsor that filled the void of AARP. For 3M, they now had a popular, relevant NASCAR driver that could market their products well for the next 3 seasons.
Are you sure about that?
Those plans changed the following January as Jeff Gordon announced that 2015 would be his final season as a full-time driver in the NASCAR Cup Series. So even though this was a one-off, everyone was dying to see what the Jeff Gordon 3M paint scheme was going to look like. This had all of the makings of being a generational paint scheme considering 3M's history as well as Jeff Gordon's history. Ideally, the Jeff Gordon 3M merch for 2015 was going to sell like hotcakes. So, what did they come up with?
Holy Jesus! What the f*** is that?
So as you guys can see right here, I have the diecast of Jeff Gordon's 2015 3M paint scheme, and I'm mixed on it because while it looks amazing with the Sterling Marlin type vibe that they're going for, at the same time, like, what the f*** is this? Like, I mean, it's like 3M didn't even try to make a great looking paint scheme, and this is easily one of the worst Jeff Gordon cars that has ever hit a racetrack. Okay, so the paint scheme is incredibly underwhelming, but with great success on the racetrack, all of the design flaws of this car can easily be ignored. Jeff Gordon debuting the 3M colors at Atlanta provided such an opportunity. In 2014, Jeff Gordon was really good at the intermediate tracks, and also considering that this is a driver's track with multiple grooves, ideally, Jeff Gordon should be a contender for the win. Well, first things first, you've got to start up front and qualify well. Something that Jeff Gordon wasn't able to do. NASCAR would have a massive qualifying fiasco where there were many cars that failed to pass inspection due to issues scanning the rear camber of the cars. Jeff Gordon would fail to post a qualifying lap, and considering that he believed that he had a car to contend for the pole, he was frustrated. In the race itself, Gordon's poor starting position forced the 4-time champion to methodically work his way through the pack. With under 70 laps to go, Jeff Gordon cracked the top 10 and was positioning himself to be a contender. It was time to start the Jeff Gordon 3M era with a bang.
Oh, around goes Hamlin. And right in front of Boyer and into the wall hard goes McMurray and Jeff Gordon.
Instead of celebrating in victory lane, Jeff Gordon would crash out of the race and hit the one part of the track with a concrete wall. Jeff Gordon would rightfully chew out the NASCAR officials, given his history of violent impacts and the back issues that stemmed from a crash at Las Vegas in 2008. Thank goodness Las Vegas isn't the second race of the 3M sponsorship with Jeff Gordon. Oh wait. Originally, it seemed like the chips were falling into place for Jeff Gordon to have a solid run. This time, Jeff Gordon would actually get to qualify, winning the pole at Las Vegas to mark as his 79th career pole award.
What a season this is starting off as for Jeff Gordon.
Well, that's interesting because son of a bitch!
In the final seconds of final practice, absolute disaster would strike. Danica Patrick would spin out and collide with Jeff Gordon, forcing the 24 team to go to a backup car for this race and surrender the pole position. Now, the backup car ideally was supposed to be really good, as this was the same car that had speed at Chicagoland, Charlotte, and Texas for Jeff Gordon in the 2014 chase. The problem here was that this was a completely different aero package. In the race itself, Jeff Gordon and Alan Gustafson struggled to get the handle right, especially with the lower horsepower. The handling was made even worse when Jeff Gordon midway through the race ran into the back of a checking up Jeb Burton. The crash made the car even tighter and Jeff Gordon would have to settle for a mid-pack finish. Okay, so apparently Jeff Gordon is absolutely cursed running the 3M paint scheme on an intermediate. How about for race 3, we shake things up and go to a short track? In the 2015 Food City 500, Jeff Gordon's bad luck with 3M would continue as he would have a loose wheel while running 7th. Gordon would spend a majority of this race fighting tooth and nail to get his laps and his track position back. Fortunately, with some timely cautions and some strategy, Jeff Gordon would thug out a podium finish. In the next 3M race, Jeff Gordon would get a top 10 finish. Okay, so you guys are probably wondering, how is this race cursed? This is where context is important because Jeff Gordon in this race had no business finishing inside the top 10. The 24 team's notes for Dover from their win in the fall were completely obsolete due to the low horsepower package and the new tire combination. Because of that, Jeff Gordon and Alan Gustafson struggled with the handling of this car all weekend long to where a top 10 finish felt like a win. Considering Jeff Gordon's high bar of excellence throughout his career, that's not ideal and there needs to be a change of scenery for race 5. 3M would next sponsor Jeff Gordon at the Brickyard 400, a race and a venue that truly made Jeff Gordon an icon. However, in the 2015 running, fans were on hand to see their alpha male hero run 15th. Although in life, when it seems like the ideal outcome is not guaranteed, at the same time, things can get a lot fucking worse. That is exactly the feeling that Jeff Gordon and the 24 team felt as for the 4th year in a row, Clint Boyer made a mistake that had a detrimental impact on Jeff Gordon's end result.
Oh, and around goes a 15. Clint Boyer spinning through the short chute. Also caught up Jeff Gordon.
I want to be a teacher when I grow up.
A babysitter. A pastor. I would like to be a terrorist.
Just like an old bottle of milk, Jeff Gordon's final Brickyard 400 as a full-time driver was spoiled rotten, limping his battered vehicle home to a 42nd place finish. Fucking Clint Boyer. So while the 3M livery didn't shine when lights were brightest, they had another opportunity to do so, sponsoring Jeff Gordon in his final Southern 500 as a full-time driver. 3M had two ways to shine, as the first was to design an incredible throwback livery that catches the entire garage off guard. So, what Jeff Gordon throwback was it going to be?
Listen, we f***ed up.
Okay, so regardless of what the car fucking looks like, Jeff Gordon was expected to perform well, considering that this was one of his comfort tracks. But of course, we're not taking into account modernity, as again, Jeff Gordon would struggle mightily with the low horsepower aero package. Honestly, this race was also an Alan Gustafson disaster class, taking a top 5 car at the start of the race and slowly making it worse throughout the night. In his final Southern 500 in the 24, Jeff Gordon would finish 16th.
How about one last round of rage?
So at this point, Jeff Gordon fans like myself were just hoping that Gordon would have one fucking normal race in this 3M paint scheme. Fortunately, that would happen in race 7 at Richmond, as Jeff Gordon would have a good car, good pit stops, and good restarts all night. Needing to finish 17th or better to clinch a chase spot, Jeff Gordon would finish 7th. Now it was on to the postseason, as Jeff Gordon survived and advanced after a chaotic round of 16. Considering that the 24 team was the chase underdogs, they desperately needed some good luck if they wanted to advance, which only makes it naturally fitting that for all 3 of these races in the contender round of 12, Jeff Gordon would have 3M as the primary sponsor. Race 1 of this round, the 2015 Bank of America 500, was supposed to work in Jeff Gordon's favor. With this being a day race, that meant that there would be multiple grooves for Jeff Gordon to try out and be able to make passes starting from the 22nd position. Instead, it seemed like nothing changed from the last time Jeff Gordon ran the 3M colors at an intermediate, as Jeff Gordon for a majority of this race was outside the top 15.
You ready?
Jeff Gordon did absolutely nothing noteworthy in this race, which, believe it or not, somehow, some way worked into his favor. Several chase drivers self-destructed, Allen made the car semi-drivable on the final run, and Jeff Gordon escaped with a top 10 finish. For the second race of this round at Kansas, yours truly was in attendance to see Jeff Gordon finally showcase some magic in this 2015 season. At least, that's what my 15-year-old self thought, as I must say, this was the most fucking depressing race I have ever attended. Believe it or not, and I know this is going to shock you guys, but Jeff Gordon and Alan Gustafson again struggled mightily with the low horsepower, high downforce package, despite starting inside the top 10. There were a multitude of points in this race where Jeff Gordon wasn't even running inside the top 20.
And I've decided that I want to die.
This race was a carbon copy of the week prior, which, believe it or not, again worked in Jeff Gordon's favor. Several chase drivers self-destructed, Allen made the car semi-drivable on the final run, and Jeff Gordon escaped with a top 10 finish. To this day, I still don't know how it happened, and to be fair, the 24 team was stunned as well. Jeff Gordon was quoted in saying after the race that this was easily the ugliest top 10 finish in his entire Cup Series career. Without question, the 24 team had no business starting off the round of 12 with 2 consecutive top 10 finishes and being +7 over the cut line entering Talladega. However, to end off the 3M sponsorship, this would be the best performance that Jeff Gordon had in these colors. Jeff Gordon would win the pole for this race, and that set the tone, as throughout the entire race, Jeff Gordon was in the top 10 and avoided all of the Talladega chaos due to having a solid car. Yes, I will say this wasn't the most cursed thing, as Jeff Gordon got 3 top 10 finishes, and technically that helped propel Jeff Gordon to win Martinsville the next week and advance to the championship 4. But performance-wise, this was easily the worst playoff round of Jeff Gordon's career, especially considering that at Charlotte and Kansas, they had no business even getting a top 15 finish. So when you look at Jeff Gordon's 3M paint scheme, on the surface level, I will agree that it's not cursed at all. Statistically, Jeff Gordon didn't do that bad in this car, as he got a lot of solid finishes in races where he had no business being competitive in. However, this is where context matters. In the majority of Jeff Gordon's 3M races, he did not have race-winning speed. He did not adapt well to the low horsepower, high downforce package, and in a lot of them, he had some case of bad luck. When it comes to the 3M paint scheme, this is the exception to the Jeff Gordon norm, as this is a car that is not an expressive form of art, but also didn't have the performance on the racetrack. But hey, 3M would remain with the Hendrick Motorsports number 24 team in 2016 and sponsor newcomer Chase Elliott. Surely, this rising star isn't going to have the same curse legacy that Jeff Gordon had with these colors, right?
They touch. They're sliding. They're banging. Larson got him.
Oh my goodness.
Are you kidding me?